welcome to today's webcast. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Ceneviva, and I'm a business intelligence and analytics consultant, and I am joined today in our Center City, Philadelphia office by my colleague Vichy Sanker, who is also a BI and analytics consultant. We have a good amount to get through today as Microsoft is doing a lot with their BI tools. Today's main objective is to give you a high-level overview of the existing Microsoft Business Intelligence suite of products, and also talk about the future roadmap and the various on-premise versus cloud-based options you should consider going forward. There's a lot for us to cover, so if you do have any questions or are interested in learning more about a particular tool, please do let us know through the comments section of the WebEx window or by emailing us directly. Our emails will be shared again at the end, so don't worry if you miss them. Any questions we don't get to during the session, we will follow up by email afterwards. I will start by briefly introducing Thorogood, and then we will dive right into the Microsoft product suite. To simplify the various products, we have broken the suite into 5 different sections: desktop BI tools, collaboration, data platform, mobile, and analytics. There's a lot that we could show you, but we tried to highlight some useful features through several product demonstrations. We do have a whole host of on-demand videos as well as future events planned. We will go into more detail around some of these topics. So for those of you who are not familiar with Thorogood, we are an independent global professional services firm specializing in business intelligence and analytics solutions, strategies, and services. Founded in 1987, we now operate globally from our 4 offices in London, New York City, Philadelphia, and Bangalore. Our clients are some of the leading organizations in the insurance, banking, consumer goods, pharmaceuticals, and healthcare sectors. We recruit and train our consultants to develop a unique mix of skills, blending business understanding in the form of industry and functional experience with strong technical aptitude and a deep understanding of analytical tools and techniques. This intersection of these skills results in a high-quality service that includes application design and development, implementing software, such as we will show you today, as well as data analytics services. While we partner with a wide array of technologies, we will focus on our Gold Certified Partner status with Microsoft. For over 10 years now, we have been a Gold Certified Partner in data analytics and business intelligence solutions, as well as intelligence systems. Our partnership gives us a great interface into the Microsoft development team. We can not only understand what their thinking is around their product roadmaps, but we can also input into the direction of their product. We are part of a number of their programs as listed here. If you're interested in working with us in any of the listed innovative programs, please do reach out to us. We will start with a quick overview of the Microsoft product portfolio. We have split the portfolio into these 5 slices to help simplify the landscape so that we can cover as much as possible during this webinar. Microsoft has tools in all 5 of these layers. Although they still have the cloud-first, mobile-first mantra, there recently has been significant investment in server-based tools in hybrid scenarios, which has been great news for our customers. In order to simplify the landscape, you need to understand what it is that you are trying to accomplish, any technical restraints that you might have, and from there you'll be able to recognize the technologies that meet your requirement. Let's get into the different layers of the Microsoft landscape, and we will start with the desktop BI tools. Excel has been the BI tool of choice at least until the arrival of Power BI, which we will get to shortly. It is great for connecting directly to analysis services, which is how most of our customers are using Excel. In addition, Excel has capabilities that give us the ability to source, model, and visualize our data. We are seeing integration between on-premise and cloud as it works very well with SharePoint, both the on-premise and SharePoint Online. We see this integration even more so with Excel 2016. Excel 2016 was released in September of 2015. The new improvements include forecasting functions, new visualizations, and the ability to connect to multidimensional analysis services through Power View. As part of the improved integration between on-premise and cloud, Excel 2016 includes direct publishing to Power BI service. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the new features available in Excel 2016. So we'll start with this data sheet that contains some sales data. If you take a look at the columns, you see we have the business segment, the country, the product, some sales information, and then over here we have a date field, which will be important in a little bit. So we'll go ahead and select all of this data. using this new Tell Me feature as part of the Excel 2016, where you can just quickly type in what it is that you want to do. So we'll type in pivot table. And we're going to go ahead and create a new pivot table using this data. So as you can see here in the connections window, we're using data that's directly contained within this Excel workbook, but it also is the possibility to connect to external data sources, such as analysis services. So we'll go ahead and create this pivot table in a new sheet. And what we'll do is we'll drag the date onto the rows. And if you notice, I just dragged a date column, but now you have years, quarters, and date. Excel is becoming more intuitive, and it automatically recognized this field as a date column and has created a time hierarchy with the years and the quarters. This allows us to quickly gain insights across different levels of time with drill-down capabilities. So from just that date column, we didn't have to create any other fields. We'll go ahead and drag gross sales onto the values. And so you can see here in this pivot table, if we hit the plus, we can drill down and see our sales at the quarter and also at the monthly level. We're going to go ahead and insert a line chart that is linked to this pivot table. And this line chart also has the drill down and drill up capabilities using these plus and minus buttons. So again, we're able to just quickly drill up or down that time hierarchy just to gain more insights at different levels of granularity of time. So on to this next tab, we have data here that we will use that shows profit and loss of kind of different contributing factors to that. One of the newest visualizations in Excel 2016 is the ability to easily create waterfall charts. So I'm sure lots of you, like me, have spent many hours manually creating a waterfall chart, and now as simply as highlighting the data, clicking waterfall chart, and we created a waterfall chart without having to create any other columns or anything like that. So right there you have the waterfall chart. Another new out-of-the-box feature is the ability to perform forecasting. These capabilities make it possible for any user to forecast data over time without having to have knowledge of statistical software. So we can go ahead here, click on the Data tab, highlight the data, click the forecast sheet, and this options window pops up. So we can expand the options, and you see that we have the start period, the end period, ability to modify the confidence interval, the ability to set the seasonality, and a few other options. Again, all to make it easier for us to use and not have to have a great statistical knowledge. Options such as the seasonality are automatically detected. So if we include the forecast statistics, click Create. On a new sheet, we have that chart here that shows the sales over the past 4 years, and then the orange is the projected 4 years value, 4 years in sales. And we also have those values contained within this chart, so we get the actual data value. Another easy to create visualization in Excel 2016 without having to do create any other columns is a Pareto chart. So these charts allow us to see the relative portion of each factor to the total, so as a result we can gain insight into the most significant factors in our data. So looking at this sales data, you can easily look at this chart and see, go to 80%, slide over, and see that these 3 products are contributing to 80% of our sales. 2 of the other new charts include the sunburst and tree chart. So these are really great for looking at hierarchy data. So we have the region and the country and where the gross sales are coming from. So just really to get an idea of the proportion of the different levels of the hierarchy. In terms of subscription software for desktop BI tools, there's Office 365 and there's Power BI, which we'll get to shortly. We get a lot of questions from our customers around exactly what is Office 365. Well, there's a lot more to it. From a BI perspective, It's really just a different way of licensing Excel. One of the great benefits is that if your company is a subscriber, updating to Excel 2016 is part of your plan. So on to Power BI Desktop, as I've already mentioned. Many of our customers are constrained by what Excel version their company rolls out, which makes Power BI Desktop a great tool to explore. It was originally built as a companion tool for the Power BI service for users who do not have a recent version of Excel, or perhaps wanted a 64-bit desktop client for in-memory operations. It brings together all of the Power tools, Power Query, Power Pivot, and Power View. While this is a new tool just being released in the summer of 2015, it has been updated monthly to include new visualizations, the ability to connect to a wide array of different data sources, most recently analysis services multidimensional, and the ability to embed content, as we will see shortly with our visualizations. As a result of these updates, this product is evolving and improving very quickly. Maybe best of all, this product is free to download and use. Now we'll go ahead and look at some of the new features available in Power BI. So here we are in Power BI Desktop, and we're going to look at a report that we've already created. If you are interested in understanding how to connect to different data sets and build different visualizations, there's a great on-demand video available on our website, as well as future events to keep an eye out for. Today we're going to look at Power BI as a whole, and for those more familiar with the tool, we'll look at the new features and enhancements that are quickly making this tool competitive with some of the other tools in the market. So we have a multi-page report here looking at insurance loss data. So real quickly in this pane you can see the different visualizations that are available. To create one, you really just click on that and then you drag the fields into the visualization. One of my favorite features about Power BI is the interactivity between charts that are based on the same data. So if we select marine in this as a class of business, all the other charts, if you noticed, update accordingly to show the data for the marine class of business. And then by unclicking, your visualizations go back to normal. So on this second page, we have some of the newest visualizations that have been released in the waterfall chart, a matrix chart, and a stacked area chart. Power BI has the ability and the flexibility to format these charts to use the color scheme that really fits your company's branding. And it's continually updating these formatting options to improve them. And one of the newest features is the ability to use what they call Format Painter. So if you see here, we have this green background with white text, and over here we just have no background in the black text. If we select this visualization, click Format Painter, and then click this visualization, the formatting in that visualization was copied to the other one without having to go into here and opening up all these different options and making sure that the colors match. You just can simply match and make your reports presentable throughout all levels of your organization. On the third page, we have one of the newest features, which is our visualization integration. So for those of you who don't know, R is a programming language widely used for statistical computing and graphics among analysts and statisticians to analyze data. Using R Studio, or directly in this window, you can create an R script. And all you simply really need to do is select the fields you want to use from the right. They get put into this gray region, which we do not have the ability to alter. That's kind of set in stone. If you see here, we selected incurred loss gross and quarter name, and that creates our data set. And then using that data set, you write the R script exactly as you would like it. So what this is doing here is a forecast of the incurred loss gross data. So we have starting in 2004 going to 2013 and looking at 8 quarters in advance or 2 years. So when we run that, you run that R script directly in Power BI, and you have your forecast chart. We saw that interactivity on the first page, and that interactivity is continued over with the R visualization integration. So if we select one of these filters, the R script and the visualization is updated accordingly without us having to go into that R script and selecting that specific data. So now that we are happy with this report, we can publish it in order to share with colleagues, add to a dashboard, or view on a mobile device. So we have two options for publishing. We can publish directly to Power BI on the cloud, and we also have the ability to publish to Pyramid Server. This is a new feature for publishing on-premise for Pyramid Analytic users, and we will get into this collaboration option in a little bit. So we'll go ahead and publish to Power BI, and by that it just creates an in-memory model as well as the visualizations that we'll take a look at a little bit later in PowerBI.com. So to recap what Microsoft is doing with the desktop BI tools, Excel remains the focus of BI delivery for customers who are delivering a predominantly on-premise BI solution and who desire to collaborate in SharePoint. Excel also has the ability to work seamlessly with Power BI Desktop, a relatively new offering from Microsoft. This free-to-download tool is evolving very quickly through significant monthly updates with the goal of being able to compete with other more established rivals. It already has some improved capabilities over the tools offered in Excel, and it's optimized for use with Power BI Service to publish reports. But as we saw, if you desire to remain on-premise, there is the ability to publish to Pyramid Analytics servers. On to collaboration. We will start by looking at SharePoint. The 2013 version came with some improvements to the Excel services as well as some welcomed improvements to Performance Point. BI was catered for with Power Pivot Galleries, which enabled all the BI features through this special type of SharePoint document library. Any reporting services reports that were published via SharePoint now have the ability to enable alerts, which can be configured to send alerts to keep you informed about data that is interesting or important to you. The release of SharePoint 2016 is coming this year. Anticipated new features in this release include SharePoint now being modern browser compliant, so we will be able to use browsers such as Chrome or even Safari to view SharePoint without losing any of the functionality. The ability to access information while on the go is becoming ever more of a necessity, so SharePoint 2016 is now mobile friendly to allow a seamless transition from viewing the SharePoint site on the desktop to on a tablet or onto a smartphone. The other option for on-premise collaboration is Pyramid Analytics servers, as we have mentioned. So Pyramid Analytics is a third-party tool that has formed a strategic partnership with Microsoft. In addition to the analytic functions available in Pyramid Analytics, there is now the ability to host Power BI reports on-premise. As far as collaboration in the cloud goes, Power BI or PowerBI.com is the way forward for Microsoft. It is used to share content from either Excel or Power BI Desktop. On-premise reports or data can be published directly to PowerBI.com, and in PowerBI.com, the reports can even be edited. This tool is completely free to use to start, and to get the most out of the tool through the use of the enterprise functionality and advanced features, there is an associated fee. We'll now go ahead and take a look at our report that we just published on PowerBI.com. Here we are in PowerBI.com. If you look along the left, you can see we have dashboards, reports, and data sets. Data sets are shared definitions of data within an organization that can be connected to. Reports contain multiple visualizations that are built from a single data set. And dashboards can contain visualizations from multiple reports, and eventually the hope is that you'll be able to combine visualizations from reporting services, Power BI, and Excel in a single dashboard. So if we go to the report that we created earlier and published, as you can see here, it looks exactly as it did when we were in Power BI Desktop. We have the same ability to interact, so we click on a filter within a chart and it changes accordingly. And then what we can do is to pin a visualization to a dashboard, we hover over this little pin, click that pin, select which dashboard we will pin that to. So we'll go ahead and pin that to the loss analysis dashboard. And if we go ahead and take a look at that dashboard, you can see that visualization is now included here, as well as other visualizations from other reports. One of the very cool and unique features is the question and answer box here at the top, where I can type a question in English and the system determines which data I would like to see. So for example, if I want to say, what was the incurred loss gross in 2013, it gives us that value. We can further filter that and say for Bank of Thorogood, and again, we get that value. So this further improves the ability to quickly get a snapshot of a certain aspect of your data without having to write a query or create new visualizations. To summarize the key points around collaboration, SharePoint is alive and well with SharePoint 2016 being released at some point this year with an updated set of BI components. Power BI service receives weekly updates, and this rapid pace of change is expected to continue. We are hopeful that support for Excel and reporting service are on the horizon to make it a one-stop shop for Microsoft BI content. There is support for pass-through connectivity, which allows data to be kept on-premise but be queried from the cloud without having to refresh reports. This allows for existing on-premise investments to be leveraged. Additionally, enterprise features exist, such as groups to control who published content is accessible by. So for example, reports can be published just to the finance group or to, say, the supply chain group for use within those groups. And with that, I will pass it on to Vichy to discuss data platform.
Thanks, Nick. So let's see some of the recent developments on data platform. SQL Server is Microsoft's long-standing on-premise relational database platform to develop enterprise solutions. And in the SQL 2014 version, majority of the updates came in the core database area. The headline feature was called Hackathon, which gave the ability to create in-memory objects to get better performance. There were enhancements around high availability and an initial stab at hybrid storage. However, this has been much improved in the 2016 version. Majority of the BI tools were largely unchanged from the previous release, and this has been picked up in the next version. Moving on to SQL Server 2016, the release of which is just around the corner is a much different story. The latest CTP version that is available is version 3.2. You can download it and have a look at it now. Although the release date is yet to be announced, it is likely to happen soon. So let's take a look at some of the changes of note in 2016 version. Microsoft have implemented a feature that allows hybrid storage of data. If you look at any of the marketing around SQL Server 2016, stretch is going to be one of the headline features. What that means is that you can put your historical data on the cloud, which isn't queried frequently. Keep your hot data on-premise so that you always have good performance there. And if you need to increase the performance of the data that is off-premise, let's say on the cloud, you can scale up your SQL Azure database as you need it, and you are paying for the processing and the storage that you use. Using Polybase, Microsoft have implemented hybrid storage, so you have the ability to recognize both the benefits of on-premise and cloud architecture. In terms of security, they have that covered. Data is always encrypted. From a BI tools perspective, some fantastic news. Most of the BI components are getting a refresh. There are overall improvements to connectivity, usability, and productivity for integration services. By including self-service features like Power Queries, Microsoft are looking to expand the scope of integration services much beyond than being seen just as a powerful ETL tool. A much needed upgrade to master data services, not only from a user interface perspective, but also from performance and scale. Master data services as a tool is getting a lot of momentum from our customer base, so this is good news. Reporting services is getting a makeover too. From a visualization perspective to new features, everything is getting a new look and feel. By including options to add favorites, integration with Power BI, and improving the consumption of reports through all major modern web browsers, reporting services will be able to compete with the much popular visualization tools in the market. Not too much to talk about analysis services multidimensional, but it is getting some updates, some performance improvements, some additional data sources, and some DBA tasks that allow you to see what is happening under the covers. Analysis Services Tabular is getting a massive upgrade. Too many things to list individually here, but generally they are looking to make Tabular a much more performant and scalable platform. APS is Microsoft's big data appliance. It competes with platforms like Teradata. It combines relational data with data stored in Hadoop using Polybase, which I spoke about earlier. Because it's an appliance, it scales out linearly. So if you need more performance, you can just add nodes. And if you are someone who is looking to scale out SQL Server for larger data sets, APS is one of the things you should probably be considering, especially with the recent revision to the licensing model. Moving on to cloud. Azure SQL Database is Microsoft's relational database in the cloud. With version 12, you get almost complete compatibility with on-premise SQL Server. So the migration between an on-premise SQL Server database and the cloud-based one is quite easy. They've introduced some of the on-premise features that have been missing in Azure SQL. One of the advantages of storing data in Azure is the ability to integrate with Power BI and other cloud-bound data. With different pricing tiers for different workloads, you can now start on a basic instance for the proof of concept and can build up to a more resilient, performant platform in a premium edition. In terms of Hadoop, Microsoft's 100% Hadoop service is called HD Insight. It's got all the components that you would expect from a Hadoop platform. It is easy to spin up new nodes and when you need them. And obviously you're charged for the compute and storage that you use because it's cloud-based. A new introduction from Microsoft is the ability to deploy to Linux rather than just Windows, which has been very welcome in the community. Whenever a feature needs to get into HD Insight, it has to comply with 99.99% Azure SLA, and there is an incredible amount of testing that has to go on to guarantee that. So there is a slight lag in the features that appear in the open source community and making into HD Insight. So to summarize the key points on data platform, release cadence is quite fast for cloud technologies, and it has now caught up with SQL Server. Release cadence is actually now increasing for on-premise software. SQL Server releases are now down to 2 years rather than the 5-year release cycle, which used to cause problems in upgrades. That is no longer the case. The amount of features that have been added are small, so the upgrade process is a lot quicker. Great news is that Microsoft are upgrading almost all BI tools in SQL Server 2016, which is the biggest refresh since SQL Server 2008 R2, and this is going to be extremely welcome amongst our customers. Azure SQL Database used to be a platform for POCs, but is now becoming a much more scalable and realistic proposition to run BI projects. In terms of big data, APS platforms probably struggle to find its feet, but it's now being able to compete both in terms of scale and price with the most established platforms. Polybase is a key feature of this platform. So in summary, Microsoft has got a great platform to fit all the various types of data, the different sizes, shapes, and location of data. So wherever you need your data to be, Microsoft has got a great solution for you. So, are you looking for an upgrade? We have a lot of customers who are using SQL Server 2008 R2 or SQL Server 2012. So, if you are thinking of upgrading, it is going to be based on a number of factors which we touched upon earlier. The cost of the upgrade, the technical constraints you have within your organization, how ready you are for cloud, what business requirements you are trying to address, where you are in terms of support. So for example, SQL Server 2008 R2 is already out of mainstream support. So if you are a 2008 R2 customer, and if you can answer some of the questions that we have, we can help you choose your platform as to whether you can go to 2012, 2014, or if you are prepared to look at some of the modern platforms like Azure, or wait for SQL Server 2016. Moving on to mobile. Datazen was acquired by Microsoft in April 2015. It is a tool that enables you to create and publish interactive data visualization. It is very focused on KPI analysis and allows drill through from KPI to reports. There are apps available for Windows, Android, and iOS. It is worth noting that you do not need a live connection to your data, so it gives you the ability to work offline. For example, you can look at your data when you are in a plane. And if you are an enterprise customer with software assurance for SQL Server, you can get hands-on Datazen for free. A quick demo on this. In the interest of time, for expediency, we are going to show some screenshots. There are a couple of webcasts already available on demand on our website if you need to get more details on Datazen. For both our demos on mobile, we are going to be using a data set looking at a number of incidents and temperature around a number of buildings. So here is a repository of KPIs defined on Datazen shown in an iPad. We click on one of them here, let's say number of incidents. You can now choose to collaborate this with other users or drill through to a detailed dashboard that supports this KPI. So here we have a monthly dashboard. So here's a monthly filter that you can change to see your data. And if I want to drill into more details, let's say Australasia for example, here is a selection of Australasia that has been passed through to the detailed report filter, and I have some alternate time selections that are available. So you can look at your data, YTD, last 3 months and last week data. So moving on to Power BI apps for mobile. There are apps available for all major mobile devices, with Android being the most recent addition. So now you can see that Microsoft are more open to making the product available on more than Windows devices. It is worth noting that you do need a live connection to your data, so this is not something that you can work offline, although there are a lot of requests on user forums to include this capability in the future. We've seen a lot of Power BI today, so let's see how it appears on a mobile device. So here we have a screenshot of how a PowerBI.com dashboard appears on an iPad. So if you remember from the Power BI demo earlier, we don't have the interactivity here, but if we select a visualization, we can then annotate and share that visualization with our colleagues for collaboration. So looking at the key points for mobile, traditionally this is an area where third-party vendors have been able to support on top of Microsoft Data Platform, and Microsoft has lagged behind a bit. But with the purchase of Datazen and rapid development of Power BI, Microsoft have really started to address this. These two tools are unlikely to be brought together in the short term. However, with the release of SQL Server 2016, Datazen is going to be merged with reporting services. And with the mobile-first, cloud-first mantra, there is every reason to expect progress on this, and they are focusing on all major mobile platforms and not just Windows. Two products here. The first one is not yet released because it's part of SQL Server 2016. What is coming in 2016 is the ability to run advanced analytics algorithms directly in the database. That's all part of the purchase of Revolution Analytics. So there's going to be integration with open source R. There are a bunch of pre-built applications that will be available in the Azure marketplace that you would be able to purchase and run in the database. Moving on to cloud, Azure ML is Microsoft's cloud-based analytics service. Again, there are a number of pre-built functions available to create models, which makes creating models incredibly easy. You can extend them to run your own R and Python scripts. Again, there are pre-built applications that are available in the Azure marketplace. You can also publish your results as an Azure web service, which can be consumed from other applications. Azure ML is a core component of Cortana Analytics Suite. So here I am on Internet Explorer, and this is the home page of Azure ML. If we look at the gallery, what we see is a number of pre-built samples and applications that you can take as your starting point to build your own experiments. So now if I go to the Azure ML Studio, so here are some of the experiments that my colleagues and I have been working on. I'll select the customer segmentation model. So here we are looking at sales across product categories, and we are going to try to group our customers based on similar buying habits using a clustering algorithm. As you can see, it's a simple workflow to the experiment which is easy to follow. On the left, we have various items that you can add to your experiment. There are a number of pre-built functions that are available. You also have the ability to run your own R and Python scripts. And you also have the ability to search through the list to find out what you want. Many of the samples in the gallery use R or Python scripts to perform data manipulation, but for those who are familiar with SQL, in the latest release there is a new SQL transformation function that allows you to use a cut-down version of SQL called SQLite to perform such tasks. So if I go to the data source, you can see where it's been sourced from, and if I right click and say visualize, we can start to understand our data better. So here we are seeing the raw data with a small histogram visualization showing the distribution at the top of each of the columns. If we select a column, let's say grocery for example, we can see some high-level statistics and a larger version of that distribution plot. The default visualization uses 10 bins, but if we can change that to, let's say, 20 bins if you want to see a broader scope of your data. You also have the ability to see cumulative distribution of your data. And if you want to understand your data better, you have the ability to compare your data with other fields. So if I say frozen foods, there doesn't seem to be a lot of relationships between frozen foods and grocery, but if I select milk, there seems to be a better correlation to milk. So coming back to the experiment, we then split the data into a training data set to build the model and test it. And depending on the data that you are using, you can control how that split is determined. In this case, I am pushing 70% of my data to a training data set. If we look at the k-means clustering step, we can again change some of the key parameters that are available. Here we are looking for 6 clusters. We could add flexibility by having this particular parameter set as a web service. We then use our training data set to run our remaining data through the assigned clusters model, which eventually would lead us to the result set. So if I look at my results, so here we are with the result set. We have a new column called assignments, indicating the cluster that each customer has been placed into. So there are 6 different clusters. You see that 47% of customers have been put into cluster 0. It might be interesting to understand what is different about those in the other 5 clusters and do some further analysis. So now we have a clustering model in place. You can publish it as a web service to be consumed through other applications. So that was a quick demo on Azure ML. So to summarize on the key points on analytics, SQL Server 2016 will include the ability to perform in-database analytics. Azure ML is new to the market and Microsoft are pushing this heavily. There is a lot of marketing and investment going behind this. ML Studio, as we saw in the demo, makes it easy to build models, but you would still need statistical knowledge if you are creating complex models. Cortana Analytics Suite, which combines a number of these analytics technologies, will be offered on a subscription model for customers with the ability to pick and choose the technologies that you would need. So now I will hand it back to Nick for the summary.
Thanks, Vichy. So a quick summary of what we've been through today. A typical architecture for a traditional on-premise data source might consist of these tools: Excel 2013, SharePoint 2016, SQL Server 2012, and then looking at this using the Datazen app. A potential all on-premise architecture in the future would be consist of these tools: Excel 2016, SharePoint 2016, and SQL Server 2016. This same kind of project can be approached using a hybrid architecture. You could use Power BI Desktop and then publish to Power BI Service, and Azure SQL database can be used to store some of the data while still using analysis services on-prem. What all of this means for you and your business is that you are not locked into a particular track. If you are currently on-premise, you do not have to stay there. If you want to choose some of the cloud services, you still have the ability to come back to on-prem. On-premise, off-premise, or hybrid scenarios are all supported, and we are seeing new releases increasingly offering more support for hybrid architectures that people have been asking for. There are lots of points of integration between the data platform, the BI tools, and the collaboration tools, which is where the majority of the work is done. Choosing the right combination is based on business requirements, technical constraints, the capability of the tools, and cloud readiness, which simplifies your list of choice and hopefully leads you to the right architecture for your particular project. We have covered a lot today, and if you would like to know more, we would be happy to help you with deciding what is the best plan of action for your company. Keep an eye out for Microsoft workshops in both the US and the UK, where we will go into a lot more detail surrounding these technologies. As we have mentioned, feel free to ask us to help you set up your own Microsoft BI roadmap that takes into account your particular circumstances and business constraints. Vichy or I will be happy to help you, as well as plenty of our colleagues. Also, as mentioned at the start, if you're interested in either the Power BI Red Carpet or Cortana Analytics Innovations programs and how they can modernize your Microsoft BI architecture, please do talk to us and we will help you enroll with those. Just a couple of events coming up in the future to keep an eye out on. In a week from today, we have another webcast about applying the power of Tableau to Salesforce, and then a few weeks from that, we have the Impactful Analytics for your Force Field webcast. So I would like to thank you all for your time today, and hopefully you found it interesting. Like I mentioned at the beginning, if you have any questions or would like to learn more about a tool, please do email Vichy or me or reach out through the WebEx chat panel. And with that, thank you, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.